Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. My name is Agnes Thomas. So great to be here. Thank you, Marco and Norcos College for the invitation. I represent Catholic Crosscultural Services, a Greater Toronto agency helping immigrants and refugees to develop skills and knowledge necessary to fully integrate and prosper in Canada. I am not doing a presentation today because I was not courageous as the previous presenters to upload. I was just worried that if something happens, then I would be stuck. So I upload everyone who presented with a presentation. So I'm just going to speak. It's such an exciting and timely topic. So, as you all are aware, we were just like many of you, since 94, we have been doing service delivery um, in person. And so prior to the pandemic, interestingly, that we started talking about how would a hybrid model looks like um, for CCS and for our clients. So then COVID hit. So we were already looking at implementing that idea. I think John was mentioning about change management. So there was really not a whole lot of time to do change management when COVID hit. So we went right into the virtual mode. And so what I am going to share in the next few minutes is basically what we have learned and what are some of the things that we found really helpful. So the first of our approach was when COVID hit and when we were doing virtual was what were our current capacities and assets. So as soon as we did a capacity assessment for our staff using surveys as well as meeting, that we started equipping or arranging tools to support the maximum efficiently serving clients on time. So that became our motto in the first few weeks, that everyone had what they need, especially for people who were in specific to our VAW clients, etc., that we needed to look at a safe way people can access, and also to that our team were ready to provide the service. So as with many of you, like we started with Zoom training, then we moved to Teams, and so we currently use Teams a lot. We use Zoom too, and we also use Speedloop and everything else that is there. So one thing probably was important for us at the beginning, at least the first 3 months, was that we developed a peer-to-peer training model where there were staff with high technological capacities and knowledge start training their team members and then rest of the team on what they knew. So that became like a collaborative project across the organization. So we delivered over 20 training programs just on virtual program delivery. And that proved to be very successful during the year for staff. And another thing I think is very important, which I learned while doing this, was the cybersecurity training we have provided at the first half of the pandemic, where we first did a scan, like a simulated phishing security test for the staff. And I think Lisa, in her presentation, mentioned it was 52% so ours, so 54%. So we obviously failed the test when we did that all staff test, and realized that is going to be a very important piece of keeping our data, keeping whatever we are doing safe. So we entered into a cybersecurity awareness training program for all staff, and that was tailored to based on what was assessed. So again, that was one of the things that I found very helpful, how to do either protect password, or what could be considered a phishing and what you would look for. Like there were so many pieces too. So it was 6 different modules, I believe, and people could take that training in their time and place. So given it is virtual. And so another one is that we made all of our conversations, because it is virtual, interactive. Like we had virtual staff meetings and we are continuing. monthly meetings virtually with breakout rooms. And we also asked for feedback quite regularly that allowed us to develop media communication guidelines for social media policies, etc. Because, given when we are completely virtual versus once in a while, this became also very important piece to protect and to make sure there is client confidentiality. All those pieces were addressed, and ongoing feedback from clients as well as from staff. And so after training our staff, what we started looking at was that, how it is for the clients, and especially given language support and navigating the technical world was a challenge, not a gift for everybody. So then the client training became one piece of everybody's everyday work. And so one thing that came up, or gap that was acknowledged when we started doing that training, was lack of access to technology. So it's one thing that you have digital literacy or technological awareness, but what if you don't have access to technology? So that is when we made some intentional partnership with some other organizations in the sector. We partnered with the libraries and local small businesses to get some free and affordable computers or internet. So those are the kind of pieces, I think, that made it easier or make it inclusive for people who were kind of not having the access. And so regular communication and survey of clients also were done to ensure we were providing services the way clients wanted it. I think that is very important, like that regular communication and check in to see if it is working, because it is not like something that any of us have been using and or anticipated it would become a regular thing, right? And so another big piece I found from a service delivery or client or staff perspective was that trainings, not just digital literacy, other trainings to make sure that we were going where we wanted to and we have a collective approach to it. So we also kind of started innovating around how we would use digital literacy, like as a pathway to digital literacy by or sharing stories was digital storytelling or using arts media across our programs. So currently, we have digital navigators that people who would focus on newcomer clients to get familiar, understand, and be able to use virtual and remote services, especially with a focus on language instruction and employment access programs. So now we are looking at we also enhanced our website and digital tools for client services. For example, we have a chat function where people can use. And I mentioned earlier, there are most vulnerable clients that we serve in some of our programs. We launched the soft phones, which allowed staff to make and take internal and external phone calls on their laptop, desktop, personal mobile devices. So that kind of removed that accessibility issue. So I found, again, that particular introduction was very helpful. And as I mentioned, the chat function. And we are also in the work of developing a digital employment intervention as we speak, along with looking at what could be a digital transformation strategy in the long run, because as in the technology world, as you are aware, it changes all the time. And how are we going to incorporate and stay on the top of it, and also to be making sure clients with and without technological skills and technology is able to access the services the best possible way on time. And so some of the learnings from this is cybersecurity training is a must. I recommend that to anybody. I will share the my PowerPoint with Marco, and he will share it with you. It is knowbefore.com. And while the hybrid models are great, first find out what are the technological needs of your specific program, services, department, and develop those plans accordingly. And same applies to clients. Find out, so right now, like few weeks ago, we did again a survey with clients asking, do they prefer online or virtual, and how effective it is to do virtual or on, so all those pieces going hand in hand. So it is, I see it as two sides of the coin. So focus on clients, focus on staff, so they are ready and equipped with what they need, and always seek feedback internally and externally. And so that is my 10 minutes. I think it's one more minutes left. And so how can we learn more? So I think some of you already shared that. I think there are so many of this we can do together in terms of whether it is capacity building or to approach to, I think somebody earlier mentioned about the digital literacy benchmark. Is that something that we can do together? I think if there is a working group in the sector with non-traditional partners, so seek partnership outside our sector, I think is going to be also critical in reaching success and making it sustainable. On that note, thank you again, and I shall stop here.
Thank you so much, Agnes and John and Jansu. We are slightly behind, but I do want to ask one question just to pull the thread through your presentations, because John gave us a very high-level view around changing the mindset and what's needed to move technology forward in our context. Jansu gave us an example of the complexity of that in one particular area around data. And Agnes, you've provided us with some practical grounding of what this kind of looks like in a specific service providing agency. So I'm wondering, taking that notion of the mindset, because you gave us some great examples of individual actions that you've taken, so cybersecurity training, some new technologies, the soft phone, things like that. I'm wondering, Agnes, what your experience has been around that notion of changing the mindset. You were already embarking on a path pre-COVID around digital transformation, but what has it taken? And you're a fairly large organization with multiple offices in different locations. What has it taken for you to move your staff and your leadership forward towards this, instead of one and done idea, maybe many and ongoing sort of technology focus?
Mm-hmm. I think I would start with what John mentioned earlier. Change management is not something overnight. It is not, and I think people need to feel they are listened to and they understand what we are trying to deliver. I think for me, the focus on our mission, like how are we going to deliver on our mission in this new environment, right? I think that was the first and the foremost. And then secondly, really understanding where they come from. And I think what made it easy for us, given with 200 plus staff and volunteers, was that their peers were training. For example, people who were good at Zoom trained others on Zoom. People who were good at Teams and how to use the meeting platforms, they trained them on that. And then there was ongoing lunch and learns and our all staff conversation. All that I think contributed to it. I think the first and foremost is, why are we here? Right? If you are here to serve the community, then in this current situation, what would be the most helpful? And if it was not for COVID, I can tell you, while we have wonderful staff, just like we all are people, it would have taken another 5 years to get us there, because we started talking about hybrid and we were having this theoretical conversation. But then it took us 5 days to turn around and make the service delivery without interruption go on virtual. So there was no interruption in service delivery. I think that was possible because people are already exposed to it, but then they saw the necessity. If we are here to serve the clients, then how are we going to get there, right? And then I think the client survey and hearing from clients and seeing some of the struggles change that conversation. Then I think policy is very important to keep in mind too, what are the guidelines in which you operate.
I'm sorry, Marco. I love the idea around the peer supports. Fantastic approach, because we don't all have the luxury to be able to bring in some IT person, and it doesn't have to be an IT person, right? It just needs to be somebody that can help their peers with whatever the issue is. And sometimes we will have to pull in some IT person, right? But I really love that approach. I think it's fantastic, and it's probably why it was successful.
Thank you for weighing in. So we could go on with this, and we will, because we're going into our breakout sessions now. It's perfect timing. I think there's a lot of stuff that I want to. Oh, Jansu, did you want to add something? I saw you on. Go ahead.
I just very quick. I just want to emphasize that peer support issue in relation to trust, because it's very important in learning and teaching processes, building relationship and base the work on that, and also creating platforms that I think staff can share their fears and anxieties. I think this is a very smart way of doing this. Thank you.